invite our distinguished guest speaker, General Moreno, whose active role in peacekeeping operation empowers him to authoritatively speak on the quest of global peace and harmony to now address the gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, General Miguel. Moreno.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here with you this evening. I have been a military man all my working life, and I find no conflict with me, my training as a soldier, and the goal for which we all strive, namely global peace and harmony. I am presently privileged to command the United Nations Iraq-Kuwait Observation Mission, but prior to this, I have spent 4 years of my military service actively participating or in support of the United Nations observers and peacekeeping missions. Like many of my military colleagues, much of my career has been spent training for war, but working for peace. To some, that may sound contradictory, but only by establishing ourselves as a knowledge exponent of the military profession can national armed forces participate with any credibility and effectiveness in helping the international community to deal with areas of potential conflict around the world. The United Nations has provided by troop contributing countries, has employed that military expertise in the pursuit of global peace and harmony in some 41 peacekeeping operations since 1948, 26 of which have been established since 1989. Serving under the United Nations flag as a major component of the broad peace effort of the world body, military personnel from many countries have brought their particular expertise and personal skill to help ease many travel spots around the world. Examples of which range from monitoring ceasefire arrangements while peace agreements were being negotiated to assist troop withdrawals, establishing buffer zones between opposing forces, and helping to implement final settlements to conflicts. Since 1989, we have witnessed an ever-increasing utility and employment of peacekeepers on missions of even greater complexity and danger. Whatever the requirements are for a specific mandate issued by the Security Council or General Assembly, UN peace missions are always dynamic and demanding. Peacekeepers have faced both favorable and unfavorable conditions in which to implement their mandate. These include circumstances where political good will exist and relative stability have been achieved after the parties have entered into negotiated settlements, or in situations where the climate is one of continued hostility, obstruction, mistrust, and danger. In the early years, UN peacekeeping operations were deployed in response to interstate conflicts. In the later part of the 20th century, peacekeeping missions were more often directed towards conflict within states, where ethnic strife and the breakdown of civil law and order has placed soldiers wearing the familiar blue helmet or buried in the most harrowing and difficult of conflict situations. Together with his civilian colleagues, UN soldiers have helped promote national reconciliation and respect for human rights, and organize and monitor elections, support to humanitarian operations, extending to participation in the reconstruction of state institutions, have been just some of the additional tasks to fall to the United Nations as the international community has come to address the wider issues of peace building. The role of the organization is made more complex in security and peace, and what has become known as cases of the failed state. The price of peacekeeping operation has, at times, been high, both for individuals, many of whom have lost their lives, and for the international community, especially when missions have not always achieved their goals. When United Nations operations have been assigned peacekeeping or peace-enhancing roles without receiving military resources, equipment, and logistical support commensurate to those tasks, individual missions have suffered strains and pressures, and the UN has faced criticism. It is only with the active support of the international community that UN peacekeeping operations can continue to make a major contribution to global peace and harmony. As the Force Commander, I must express my thanks to the continued support of the international community to the United Nations Iraq-Kuwait Observation Mission. The mission was formed in the aftermath of the Second Gulf War on 9 April 1991, following the forced withdrawal of Iraq forces from the territory of Kuwait. Today, there are 194 unarmed military observers from 31 contributing countries deployed along the 252 kilometers of the demilitarized zone and the Khawar al-Alab waterway, running the length of the border between Iraq and Kuwait. Military units from Bangladesh and my own country, Argentina, support the military observers. UN civilian, international, and locally recruited staff supports the military component. Altogether, there are 71 countries represented in the mission. In no small way, I believe it is the bringing together of these individuals from so many different countries, working together for a common purpose, that itself encourages a greater understanding and thereby aids the progress to peace and harmony among nations. Two small examples will suffice to illustrate my point. I am from Argentina, and my personal office staff comprises a British and a Russian officer. Who would have thought that possible 20 years ago? And the two officers who run the Force Welfare Office are from India and Pakistan, and describe one another as the best friend in the mission. Our task is to monitor the military zone, to deter and take action to prevent violations of the border and to observe any hostile action from the territory of one state against another. Armed Support Unit of Bangladesh Battalion directly support the military observers deployed on both sides of the border in patrol and observation bases. The military observers conduct 24-hour surveillance of the DMZ and maintain contact with the civilian border police posts on either side of the border. With limited resources, we work to make the DMZ a better and safe place to live. The engineer company from my home country has a program for the clearance of unexploded ordnance, primarily from the Iraq side of the demilitarized zone, that is necessary for our operation. It is a tragic legacy that it is so often that innocents who suffer from the aftermath of armed conflict. My medical unit, which is from Germany, is all too frequently called to redeem life-saving treatment to children injured in explosion in the DMZ. It is heartwarming to me to see how common humanity shines through a shock traffic situation with military and medical staff working in close harmony and with a personal intensity and commitment to save the life of another human being. The situation in DMZ is quite unstable, which is what the situation has been for the most 11 years of its mandate. It is sometimes difficult to contrast what is accepted for the normalcy of life in DMZ with the speculation and political statements that have appeared in the international press in recent months concerning the region. As a military man, it is not for me to comment on what might or might not happen in the future. In the mission, we will continue to carry out our tasks to the best of our ability. There are always new changes to deal with, new challenges to deal with. At present, I am pleased to provide assistance to Mr. Richard Foran, who is the Secretary General's representative, to oversee the return of Kuwaiti National Archives from Iraq. Of course, my first concern concern is the safety of my personnel, and I am confident as a military mission we have the expertise and training to cope with unexpected and dangerous situations should they arise. To this end, we keep our contingency plans under review in coordination with concerned agencies in the mission area and UN headquarters. This is really where I began. Military expertise is helping in the goal to bring peace and harmony to the world. Effectively, I feel I'm working to put myself up to the job. In a global society where all nations and people live in peace and harmony, there will be no need for armed forces. Sadly, that day is all too away, and we should be guided by ideals. We must deal with realities, and I believe that I will continue to be a role for national armed forces in working for global peace and harmony for many decades to come. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your kind attention, and I wish the Gandhi Foundation and this committee every success in the work for India and the wider global community. Thank you very much.